I don't dispute the figure, because I have got no evidence to suggest, to prove that the sample that they are contending was actually contacted, were indeed contacted. I mean, most of the interviews took place on telephone. So we have no real evidence.
Okay, let me put those points there, a couple of points there. First of all, let's deal with the first one, which is you don't have to be born in this country to understand it culturally. And secondly, how did you come by your figures? Did you just talk to these people on the phone?
I'm in complete agreement with Judge Drabu's assertion that there is no direct inference between being born abroad or having spent a long time abroad and then coming to Britain, and therefore these imams are somehow fostering terrorism. That's never been our assertion. We're more than clear on the fact that most imams, if given the training, linguistic and ideational, can be a buffer against terrorism. But the facts are, people like Siddiq Khan, who was the pioneer leading the 7/7 bombings on the London Underground here in 2005, people like him were raised in the shade of mosques up north, but did not find the necessary theological and ideological guidance at their local mosque, and then turned to alternative fora. And that's what we're seeing now, with young Muslims turning to internet websites and other places in order to get theological guidance, because it's just not coming from our mosques. And I don't think it's too much to ask that this is a basic level of requirement. And you know, our findings weren't just about foreign imams, that 50% of mosques don't have fair access for women, and those that do have very poor access. Now, turning to the point about gathering that data, we set out with young Muslims here in Britain from those madrasas who speak English, Bengali and Urdu, trying to reach out to 1,000 mosques. After several attempts to call all 1,000, we were reduced, due to lack of capacity in mosques, not at our think tank, to speak to 514 mosques. And I think it's fair enough to say, having spoken to mosque management at 500 plus mosques, the first national survey of this kind, we're able to say with every confidence that our findings are accurate, fair and objective, where we've asked the mosque managing committee, where do the imams come from? And this is not derogatory, and it's not taking a pop, it's just making a fair point that this is the mess we're in. People like Minab have every responsibility, who Judge Drabu very responsibly represents, have every responsibility to deliver on what they were set up on: better governance at mosques, better qualifications for imams. And I think Judge Drabu would welcome our findings and help us create a mosque platform across Britain which allows for young Muslims to feel that there's no conflict between being a Muslim and being at a mosque and their professional lives or their school lives. My fear is, as things stand, there's a distinct difference between the culture in mosques, i.e. rote learning, psychological backwardness, imam speaking in a foreign language, the usage of a stick, and what they see at schools, a very progressive, dynamic atmosphere of learning. Let's end that disconnection and create a better British mosque culture for all of us.
Judge Drabu, just very briefly, how do you end that disconnect that exists for young British Muslims being taught one very different culture at school, another in the mosque and in the family home?
I think in that sense, I welcome the report of Quilliam Foundation. There is indeed a problem, and because there is a problem, that is why Minab has been set up. And what I am asking people like Ed, who are very keen on developing Muslim identities and Muslim culture and cohesiveness in this country, is that you need time to develop a community, and that time is required by the Minab, which has just been set up. And we are committed to ensuring that mosques are properly run, properly governed, and they become more relevant to the young people and to women in this country.
Judge Drabu, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for. Ned Husain, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, coming up later in the programme, are you being watched? German companies are caught again spying